Here's Rebecca.
Good afternoon, SuperTalk, Mississippi. You're tuned into your radio happy hour. That's the Good Things. I'm your host, Rebecca Turner. Don't forget you can listen to Good Things. We are streaming live over at supertalk.fm. We're also streaming from the SuperTalk Mississippi app. Of course, you can always find us on your local SuperTalk Mississippi radio station, and you can watch us too. We are on your computer or your mobile device. Just head on over to supertalktv.com. You'll see I'm not alone, and I'm not in the studio today. It's a special day here on Good Things. We are coming to you live from Laurel, Mississippi. In fact, we're in the yard right in front of the Laurel Mercantile. I got with me some of the boys from HGTV's show, Hometown. You might have heard of that one before. I got Josh Nowell, I got Jim Rasberry, and I got Ben Napier with me today. And we're talking all good things in Laurel. Gosh, it's a beautiful day. I didn't bring the rain, so y'all can thank me for that.
Well, thank you.
But it looks like
to come in yesterday.
Yeah, but it looks like I brought the crowd. So, I apologize for all the crowd that's coming around.
No, we're not sorry. As long as everybody's shopping.
Everybody's shopping. Laurel is buzzing. Laurel is thriving, and there's so much good going on here. Josh, I'm going to start with you. How did all of this get started? How did the three families meet and come together?
Well, that's a good question, and I get to have the mic. That's great.
What's the time slot here?
Yeah, so I have an hour, you said?
Yeah.
So Ben was my college roommate.
You got to go. That is not how it happened.
Well, that's where I'm going to start.
Like so we're in 1982.
Yes. So Jim is from Laurel. I'm from Laurel, and Aaron is from Laurel. And so we grew up here, and we used to come downtown. And downtown was not alive. But we had heard stories about how wonderful downtown was in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. And so, honestly, that's probably where the dream of downtown was planted. Jim especially, I think, had a passion for it early on. And a little secret, he actually recruited Ben to live downtown. And then Ben and Aaron, of course, helped to recruit me to live downtown. So thanks a lot, Jim.
Yeah.
So, Ben, when you and Aaron got together and she brought you back home, it's like, hey, we're going to graduate, move back home. We've got these great ideas with my friends. Not being from here and maybe not understanding the stories of when it was once alive, was it hard for you to see the vision of what Laurel could be?
No, because this is something that I feel like is true of any place, is that people who are from there tend to be blinded by the bad from there, like because they've grown up there, they're jaded to it, they don't see the magic anymore. The parks are not as good as the parks one town over. It's all this. But if you're not from there and you've never seen it, well, golly, the parks in Laurel are amazing. The building, the architecture is beautiful. It's all unbelievable. And so this was an easy sell for me.
So what came first? You guys renovating? Because I know as you started to pilot the little show now, Hometown, I think it's doing okay. I don't know if you'll get picked up again, but it's doing a little bit all right. But it started out as a
Top five on cable if anybody's counting.
It started out as a pilot like all other shows. Were you guys already into renovating Laurel, regardless of whether the show had happened, or how did the pilot come about?
More on a personal level. We had all done apartments in downtown, and then we had all moved to our houses, and we had done them, and it was not like we're going to take over and do all of these things, and it's still not really what we're trying to do. We are just trying to make smart decisions and expand our company, and we're encouraging other people to do the same thing, just do it in our town. And I think that we would have gotten, we talk about like with the network coming on board, one of the things that HGTV liked about Laurel when they started was that Laurel was not perfect. It was not this postcard town that was going to be, beautiful, have beautiful, panning shots with the camera, that they would be able to show the progression over time, and they've done that. And it's people. We used to kind of get sort of a chip on our shoulder because people would be like, oh, look at the lights that crisscross the streets. I can't believe HGTV did that, for you. And like, well, they didn't.
It was a very sweaty summer that we did that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of work to get to that. There's a lot of things that we did that we were already working on before the show
Right.
happened that maybe came about after the show. But then there are some things that, happened because, like this yard, for instance. We probably would have never put down turf, but we had so much foot traffic. We had so much foot traffic on it.
You had to.
Yeah, we had to.
Well, speaking of the yard, I mean, we're right here on Good Things in front of the Laurel Mercantile or Teal. We've decided that it's both. We've been wrestling with that all day. We've been wrestling with that all day not to mess it up. But Josh, you and I were talking before, saying that you guys recognized when Hometown got picked up that you wanted a flagship here in Laurel of something for all of the wonderful fans who are joining us around, and even those in Mississippi to come and be able to sort of see and then shop. So why the Mercantile? Why that specific business to be the launching pad of you guys' collaboration?
Yeah, that's a great question. To kind of pick up on what Ben was saying. Ben has always had a good outside perspective because he was the kid that moved around a lot. So he would move to a new town and have the outside eye and be able to communicate that. And so when we all moved downtown, that was kind of what we were doing. We were trying to express how great this town is to our local community. We didn't have the reach through the network to do that as we do now. And so the Mercantile, the building where it is now, it was kind of the same thing. We walked in that building and it was pretty dismal.
The worst in town.
Yes, it was
worse than the scent shop that we got to watch transform on the show.
Remember, the scent shop transformed 5 years longer as it was being leaked into compared to this one. No, so we walked in the building and saw the potential. And so it was just kind of like the town. The potential was there, and we began to tell the story of the good things, as your show's called. We began to tell the story of all the positive things that are here in Laurel. And the building is really, the company Laurel Mercantile is really just a projection of that. We wanted people to see this cool 1905 structure remodeled with the tin ceiling and all the charm that is in these old footprints. And so it was kind of that same thing that Ben was saying. We were just telling the locals, and now the market was a little bigger. We were beginning to tell more of the nation that this is a great place. Our hometown's a great place. And so the Mercantile really was just a continuation of that story.
Jim, I'll let you talk.
Oh, okay.
No, I think it's great. I think it's great that the three of you the three different families are able to come together. And I think the three different visions mesh very well. I mean, and sort of the different perspectives of it. So when you got going, obviously successful, what was the next thing in line after the Mercantile? Was it the wood shop? What was next in y'all's sort of business endeavor here in Laurel?
Well, if anything, you see that we have a lot of irons in the fire. So I don't know that there's ever been like, okay, next we're going to do this and next we're going to do that. It's kind of like, well, we need this to happen, and then next we need this. And at that moment, Ben was operating the wood shop out of a basement, out of that building, which I don't know if you've ever been in a wood shop before, but it's very difficult to get.
It's dusty.
But it's dusty, but it's also hard to get stuff in and stuff out. You got to have big rolling doors. Good to have a loading dock. So a room recessed in the ground's not optimal for building things and then moving them out.
Ben, the show, your workshop has kind of become like a different set, like an additional set on Hometown. Did that sort of just organically grow into people's interest in you building things for the show, or was that always sort of niched in? Because I feel like it kind of grew into its own little thing, which now you have your own show too.
Yeah. It did grow into that, but the building was always going to be a part. The wood shop was always going to be a part of it from the very first when we shot the sizzle, which was like a 5-minute, introducing us to the network as here's Aaron and Ben Napier and their town. We filmed in the wood shop for that, and so it was always going to be a part of it. But yeah, it was actually Josh's idea again, showing us a building that was one of the worst in town.
It was a tough one.
And saying, look, if we put the shop in here and then you've got this window that looks in, we can put in a general store there. People can come in and shop, and while they're shopping, they can watch the show being filmed, like the Today Show, for instance. And it was just this brilliant idea that then has grown into something bigger. And, there was just a family here from Germany that was telling me they wish they could see us working in the shop. And I said, well, you can go over there. They're working right now. I'm just not.
Right. Well, it sounds like Josh is the big thinker. Obviously, Ben, you're part of, you and Aaron are the hosts, but also part of this. So, Jim, are you like the rainer-inner?
Oh, I'm the rainer-inner. I'm the glue, baby. I got
Because there has to be one that's like, hold on, this is all great. We've got to stay.
What does Jim do, Ben?
Jim makes sure that we are making smart financial decisions.
There has to be
That's
one.
right. That is true.
There has
Honestly,
to be like, kids, we have to regroup. We got to come back down
Speaking of,
yeah.
is it time for a break?
Well, in just a second. You finish your
I
thought.
heard music. I was thinking, hey, we're going to rein it in. I'm going to do it.
We're used to TV where we're edited, so
Yeah.
this is going to be unedited. Yes. No, Jim is actually one of the visionaries. He's a big dreamer. So that's.
He's behind the scenes.
He is.
We're going to learn more
Behind
about
the scenes,
Jim
for
and the
sure.
rest of the guys coming up next here on Good Things.
Double down and hit me twice, cashing the big chips, gonna leave a big.
Welcome back to Good Things. We are coming to you live from Laurel, Mississippi. In fact, we're right in front of the Laurel Mercantile, so if you're in town or around, come out and say hi to me. I'd love to, but I bet you'd like my guest as well. We're continuing our conversation with some of the boys, I guess all of the boys from HGTV's sort of successful show, Hometown. You may have heard of it. We got Josh Nowell, Jim Rasberry, and Ben Napier, but the cool part is the story of Laurel, the story of revitalizing, the story of the town coming together to, get on board with what you guys were trying to do, or that the show allowed you to sort of start. And then you get what you see here. You get to see a bustling town full of businesses, thriving communities. And does that just make you guys super happy to look out and just see all the people behind us, some coming from Germany, some coming from around, the States or Mississippi, to visit Laurel, to shop, to stay, and smiling, of course.
As long as they're shopping.
No, it is really neat.
Absolutely. And to that point, I think what I'm most proud of, and we probably all relate to this, is how. Are you from Mississippi?
I am born and raised.
All right, so we're all born and raised in Mississippi, and how we know what Mississippi is and what it has to offer, but it's being able to share that with people that maybe not have that true feel for what Mississippi is. Maybe they've heard things, or they have a something in mind that isn't necessarily true, and being able for us to be able to use this platform to kind of show how great Mississippi is, not just Laurel, but the people and the things that we make, and the music that we make, the wonderful things that we have, to the food that is coming out of Mississippi. So there's a lot going on here that we're really proud that we get to share with the world.
Well, and one of the things I think that I'm proud that you guys took with the show, or the success of it, is not just businesses. Yes, the boutiques, the U-Cent Library, the Mercantile is great, but it's also the manufacturing. It's bringing back and expanding sort of more jobs, and showing the rest of the world and the rest of small towns that you can bring back jobs. You can bring back manufacturings for people to call these places home. How intentional or important? I know from the sizzle, as you call it, the pilot, you couldn't foresee 6-7 seasons later all of this sort of snowballing and transpiring. But when did y'all realize, Ben, that you might have an opportunity for bringing back manufacturing?
That was pretty much from the beginning.
Oh,
when
okay.
we had we actually met at the Holiday Inn. And
It was our first business meeting.
The Holiday Express, because
Sorry,
they had,
Express, that's right.
they had cinnamon rolls.
There's a song there coming to mind.
So we had our first business meeting at the Holiday Inn, and one of the things we talked about was that we wanted to focus on American manufacturing, because with a show like Hometown, it's not about. Yes, it is about home design, but there is a bigger story being told, and it's the comeback of an American small town. Well, without the manufacturing entities that we already had here, Laurel wouldn't have existed anymore. It would have dried up long ago. And I, like Josh was saying earlier, I moved around a lot, and so I've been in towns where that had happened, where whatever the main employer there was gone, and 5, 10, 15 years down the road, the town disappears, or it becomes something very different. And so that was something from the beginning. We focused on American manufacturing, knowing that we would one day step into the manufacturing role here, and that's what we've
What
done
are we
now.
manufacturing out of Laurel, Mississippi now?
So Ben's right. Essentially, when we opened our retail store in 2016, we committed to selling primarily American-made goods. The consumer maybe wasn't as committed to that as we were early on. And so we realized that in order to be competitive, because we need to be competitive, then we need to make the goods here in Laurel. So we started in the wood shop, actually. We would manufacture small cutting boards or butcher blocks when we weren't filming. But as the show grew in popularity, the time to actually manufacture in the wood shop became smaller and smaller. And so so primarily right now, wood products we make, countertops and islands, butcher blocks, cutting boards, and we're continuing to grow that line under Scotsman Co. And then we started recently to pour our candles here in Laurel, which is really exciting. A lot different than woodworking. I think a little easier than woodworking.
But we're using we're using wax.
Both smell good. Both would light on fire. One not so much while you let it tour, sort of, than the other.
Yeah, that's good.
Ben, is it true that you picked up woodworking at Ole Miss when you and Aaron were students? It's either closer to her in terms of her schedule. I think I saw that on one of those shows. So I'm curious, if that wouldn't have been an option, like what would have been Napier done if hometown wasn't hometown?
I am. You didn't know. I am a pre-law attorney going into politics, who's going to make a big difference.
Oh, got it.
Here in Mississippi,
and a history major.
I think you could still do that. You'd get a lot of votes.
Yeah, I did run for office one time, and I'll never do that again. It was terrible.
Did you really?
I did, and
Okay.
I lost. And
I don't know if I should believe you or not.
Jim was my
Mississippi office or like college, like a
local.
Okay, local.
He lost the office, but he won people's hearts.
Gotcha.
Boom. Jim was my treasurer or campaign advisor. I can't remember what your role.
Whatever it was, you
It
felt.
wasn't very good.
You know what, Jim? I'm getting there's a common thread here. Nobody knows what Jim does.
No, Jim was like, we were sitting he was like, somebody needs to run for that office. And I was like, I told him, I said, I don't know if he's saying like I need to or we need to encourage somebody. So I jumped in and threw my hat in the ring, and it was terrible. And I don't recommend anybody doing it.
So it's a good thing that the woodworking worked out for you.
Absolutely it is.
Much better woodworker than politician, I would say.
Well, y'all are also paving the way and giving back to Ole Miss in that way. So tell me, one of you, about the Ole Miss Manufacturing Scholarship, which we can show.
How about
with some of the things that you've got here. This is one
How
of the
cool is that?
The radio
Flip it
audience
over.
can't
we
see
got
it.
this way.
They can't see this
They
on the
can
radio?
over at
used to
SuperTalk TV.com. They can do it there. They'll be able to see it on YouTube after the show.
Show that top part here,
The top
too.
part. So
See
that's
that?
the red
Look
that
at
you
that.
see on the show that came from the Ole Miss basketball court, correct?
If you're listening right now, you just need to come on over to the website and check this thing out, because you need to see it.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Go
So
ahead.
CME, Haley Barber Center for Manufacturing Excellence, opened just over 10 years ago, and it's in the heart. It's on the campus, in the circle, heart of the campus, and it's a manufacturing program for engineers, business majors, and accounting majors. And so I got to tour it about a month ago. Just unbelievable facility, and what they're teaching these students about being efficient in manufacturing is really leading the way for the future for us to be competitive on a global stage. It's just remarkable facility.
Yeah. No, I wasn't going to say that. I was just-
Yeah, I thought you. So after seeing that facility, of course, we had a bunch of Ole Miss wood. For this episode, we made a spinning table,
I saw that.
a very hard.
It's terrible.
Very hard table. But we only used about 2 by 2 feet of the Ole Miss wood, and we had 2 containers worth. So we were like, what are we going to do with this Ole Miss wood?
Does everybody know what the Ole Miss wood is, though?
Well,
I mean, has anybody said that yet?
so
Per the show, it was the basketball court.
It is an athletic court for sure, where basketball has been played. But this is
do you notice?
an SEC court.
Well,
Flip it
How
over.
cool is that?
So those are the staple holes.
You could practice your dribbling at home
Yes.
on it? Okay.
yes.
You
Now
could,
notice.
or cut your vegetables.
Notice Jim's language. You called it a basketball court. Jim called it an athletic court.
I said an SEC athletic court where
So I guess
basketball had been
volleyball.
played.
Wow. When we purchased the wood, we were told it was from the Tad Pad, and we were very excited. I mean,
What's that?
that's the basketball
Tad
college.
Smith, the former
Oh.
Coliseum.
Yes,
okay.
at Ole Miss
Sorry,
people.
I'm a Golden Eagle.
So, hey,
Me too.
Jim is
to
too.
the top.
Don't say it with such bitterness. To the top.
So we bought 2 containers of Tad Pad wood, and turns out it's not. It is from the campus, so it is an athletic court.
And it is an SEC.
It is.
SEC
It's the volleyball
games have
court.
been played
yeah.
on it.
And so
And
anyway,
basketball has been played on it.
That's
It's
true.
But
been
it has
practiced
been
there.
washed, sanitized,
yes,
and
it has.
sealed.
Absolutely.
So we
Now, you can get the ones with the sweat stain still on.
that'll cost you extra.
That'll be extra.
So what we did is so the floor is hard maple, which is a great wood to work with. We work with it in the wood shop all the time, and so we the problem is, so Ben and I, in season 1, love to work with Reclaim.
Oh, my God.
We still theoretically love to work with Reclaim. It's just so much harder.
Well, in season 1, we were filming 3 episodes at a time, and we'd film 6 months, 3 episodes at a time, 2 months for 3. So, we had way more time
To de-nail.
And there was always a big break in between each one of the sections of filming. And now it's 5 episodes at a time. There are no break. Like we wrap filming one set of houses and we roll right into the next 5. And so there's no time to clean the wood shop and get a jump start on denailing boards. And so it's become much more complicated to do it, which this is probably our biggest reclaim project.
We have been denailing this wood for a month now inside of our factory, just literally working.
And if folks want one and to support the scholarship, how do they go and get one?
So laurelmercantile.com, and you'll see it there on the home screen, and a portion of all the sales go to support the CME program.
And what channel do we find Hometown on?
It's on HGTV.
Oh, what day does it come on?
Sunday nights at
7 Central Standard Time.
7 Central.
All right, you guys stick with us. We got more for you coming up next. We got a lot of good things going on in Mississippi. We're down here at Laurel, and we're in front of the Laurel Mercantile, right there in here in Laurel, Mississippi. There we go. Now we got it going. All righty. You know what? Technology's great until it's not. But we're still talking up the wonderful story of Hometown and the wonderful revitalization of Laurel and its downtown. We still got Josh with us, but we switched out Jim for Mallorie. So welcome, Mallorie.
I feel like I'm the better half anyway.
You are more crafty.
I mean, it was a good swap, if I have to say.
You were definitely more crafty on the show, and we still have been as well. But I know we're sort of talking now about the new addition to sort of the business, which is the Scent Library. We all got the opportunity, if you watch the show, to see the transformation of that building. So how did that one come about, the Scent Library? Where was it in the chain of thinking and then coming into fruition?
I'm going to let Josh handle that one.
Well, I'll tell you, why don't you tell the story of Erin a little bit?
So Erin, as long as I've known her, and Ben can attest to this, she has had such a passion for scent. And I know that sounds very strange, but she really does. Like, she has a way of describing and remembering and being able to tie certain events in her life to scent, and it's remarkable that how she's able to do that. And she has always wanted to do this big candle line, and so whenever we started the Laurel Mercantile, actually before we even opened the store, she made her first candle, and it's the Laurel candle, and it smells like sweet olives based off of all the sweet olive trees in Laurel. And I swear to goodness, it smells like the actual bud of a sweet olive tree. And it's
actually I would say it's the reason the Mercantile exists.
Yeah, it was our first product.
We originally, Erin designed wedding stationery, and then she wanted to do this candle to sell on the website, and it was like, this was before TV, anything. And we did the candle, and then that launched this separate branch of our company, and then the show happened, and we were like, what are we going to do with all this? And so we partnered.
Yeah,
with
and it's
friends.
burning at every reveal, right? There is a candle burning.
But so fast forward, we've got over 50 scents now. Laurel is still our most popular, but because she has had a hand in every scent selection that we've done, and it's based off of some old perfume or some scent in her life. She'll bring us an old bottle of perfume that she's kept since childhood, and she says something like, this is what my mom wore when I was in the 3rd grade and we went to the movies, and
it was 1996,
and every time I smell this, I think of whenever we went to go see the Titanic and I cried like a baby, and this just has the best scent memories for me. And then
we call this a White Star.
Right. Exactly. And so we send that off, and we get the perfumery to match it. And seriously, every candle in that store has a story like that. And so whenever we were trying to envision what a candle store could be, we really leaned into this whole library concept, because seriously, every scent does have a story. And so it was such a fun design to come up with and to really lean into, because I mean, I love an old library and, you know, all the things that are associated with the library. And so it's been a really, really fun project to work on.
Josh, I know your family bought it and held on to it for like 5 years. Did y'all know it would end up being the Scent Library, or did you just buy it going, we'll figure that out?
Yeah, no, that yeah, there's usually a lot of
package deal, right?
There's usually, it was a package deal.
Josh loves a bundle.
Yeah, I love a bundle. There's usually a lot of potential vision. I don't always see the end, but I'm like, this could be great once you see past the dirt floors and the dripping ceiling.
It was the worst building. I mean, and we say that about every building that we do. This one, the Mercantile.
This one at the time was the worst.
You get more experience and you realize this is way worse. That's what happens.
But this building was particularly really bad.
But inside of it, though, there were touches of magic. The building itself was remodeled in the 1930s during kind of a late Art Deco period, and so it had these really cool. They were all rotten, but it had really cool, moldings that had kind of a step design, Art Deco style. And so you could see the potential there, but I don't think we had married the concepts yet of this could be a candle store. That came later for sure. And a lot of our ideas, honestly, there's 6 partners in our company, me and my wife Emily, Mallorie and Jim, and you may know Ben and Aaron.
We just met today.
Yes. We all brainstorm, and a lot of these things are just ideas that come. A lot of things are shot down.
Who gets the shooting down?
Jim gets shot down the most, wouldn't you say, with his?
Oh, bless his heart. He's not here to defend
who
himself
shoots down
anymore.
the ideas the most? The girls, probably.
I think.
But that's kind of the beauty of the partnership, because, you know, we kind of, in selling our ideas to each other, we kind of go through a whole vetting process of saying, like, I have this idea, and then it evolves once you start talking to Ben, and then when you pitch it to Aaron, you pitch it to Josh, and, you know, so that is, it kind of, like I said, it just vets itself, and it's the beauty of how we work together.
Well, then, and it's the whole idea of if you build it, they will come. And it feels like whatever you guys are doing and the magic of it, they're coming. Because, yes, you guys have a great show and you have great chemistry and all the things, but it's a whole lot of other work from the Main Street Association, from the city of Laurel, from the state of Mississippi, everybody else that's sort of gotten on this. I mean, I'm not riding the coattails, but also getting in the momentum of what's going on here. And to me, that's the exciting part.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't look at it as riding the coattails. We think of it as like we are all in this together, and, you know, Main Street and Guild and Gentry and Lee's Coffee Shop, like all of the, you know, the Night Butcher, everybody is in on this together, because without these businesses, our businesses, their businesses, then we don't have this backdrop to film this show that tells this beautiful story. And like even with the Ole Miss, like we were talking earlier with Ole Miss, if we hadn't found out about this court, you know, then, or if people hadn't known that we were attached to Ole Miss, then that wouldn't have happened. And so, yeah, it's a team effort.
Yeah, we have a saying. It's more of a posing a question, but, you know, does the TV show make the town, or does the town make the TV show? And we found that it really goes both ways. This is a real community with real people, and the TV show has done a great job of telling that story to the rest of the nation. And so it's really neat to see.
So I know, Josh, you, Jim, and Aaron were all 3 originals, sort of started here in Laurel. Mallorie, you didn't grow up here, did you?
No, I grew up in Tylertown. That's where my folks are from.
But that's not far.
Ice cream pitcher.
Yeah. It's dairy capital of Mississippi.
Absolutely. I've been there, Waffle Canal, to the turtle races for the Dairy Festival.
Dairy Festival, yeah.
Which is really odd, but it works. But now that
I've not followed the connection between turtles and
it's part of the
it's just part of the festival.
You know,
turtle races at the Dairy Festival. It makes total Mississippi sense. It's a long-standing tradition. They also have birder churning contests. Does that make you feel better?
That's
better. Okay, but for you, Josh, though, like talking about looking back at like your mother, your grandmother, all the people who shared stories of what Laurel was once like, gave you the vision of what Laurel downtown could be. What are you hearing from those wiser in years in town that have sat back and watched maybe what once was thriving for them in their teens or early 20s to now be back bustling and going?
Yeah, that's Yeah, the way to think about that, when we started this journey, we had 0 children among us. Now we have 8 children, and Emily and I have 50% of those, so we have 4 children. And it's
He likes to brag
Yes.
on that.
Well, just I like to explain how hard our life is, compared to. No offense.
Sounds like you did a lot of relaxing.
So, no, what's interesting, our children will not remember a time when downtown was dead. And that's wild for us.
Yeah.
Because that's, our grandparents remember when it was wonderful and when it died. We remember when it was dead and there was nothing down here. And now our children will remember it alive. As far as what it will be for them, honestly, it'll be up to that generation, to keep it going, to keep the legacy going. So.
This blows my parents' mind because they grew up in Collins. And if you grew up in Collins in their era, you didn't come to Laurel. This was a bad place. And so it blows their mind that you can come to Laurel and see license plates from not only all over Mississippi, but
I saw Hawaii license plate. How does that happen?
How did they get
How
here?
do you get that here?
How do you drive across the Pacific? And that you can walk in, the scent library and see people, asking questions about the scents and, we live in Michigan and this reminds us of this flower from there. And because that's the point of it, is that every scent should tell a different story for every person.
Yeah. And scents, if you can't make it, the scent library, do y'all also, can you order online?
Yes, everything that we have in the store is available online.
And remember, they're made here now, manufactured in Laurel, Mississippi. Yeah. All right, so what's next? We've got a mercantile, we've got a wood shop, we've got butcher boards, countertops, we've got coffee, we've got scents. We done? We got flannel we didn't even get to.
Well, our factory was hit by a tornado before we bought it,
we like to buy things and just terrible.
So we got to just stay tuned to what's going to happen?
Because honestly, we're figuring that out right now. So if you have any good ideas, we're happy to hear them. Yeah.
RV park.
RV park. You never know. You absolutely never know. You got to come down and visit Laurel and see what these guys have done and give it a shout out. I know there's a lot of good things going on this weekend. We'll get to that and more coming up next. Right in front of the Laurel Mercantile. We're having a great old time with some of our friends from HGTV's hit show Hometown, but also some great folks from Laurel who are up to some good things. We've got now George Bassi. Did I get it right?
Correct.
I was worried about that. He is with the Lauren Rogers Museum and All Things Laurel, and we're still joined by Ben Napier. And man, we got a big crowd here, which I feel like is every day here in Laurel, but when you guys put on events, George, they really come out and support. So what all we got going on?
They do. Well, this weekend's a big one. We've got 2 events, and Crawfest, which has become really one of the largest events that Laurel Main Street puts on. It's wonderfully attended, and it really has become kind of a staple each spring. Brings a lot of folks in, and it coupled now the last few years with Unplein Air, which is actually an opportunity for artists to come. I met some this morning on a walking tour from like states all around that are here, and they'll be painting all around downtown, the historic district. There's a kids division. There'll be lots of kids painting as well. So it's kind of a good combination.
Is that this weekend?
It's this weekend as well. So it's a weird combination of art and Crawfest, but we know we can make it happen.
At Mississippi, we are good at like multitasking.
Exactly.
We can do it well. So when does the crawfish and all that get started?
It's Saturday. I think it begins around 11 that morning. You can kind of hang out all downtown, and it goes through the afternoon, so it'll be a lot of fun.
All right, and then we're celebrating 100 years for the Lauren Rogers Museum.
Correct. We turn 100 on May 1st, and so we're using about 8 days of activities to kind of celebrate that. Of course, we've got things all year long.
Just 8?
Just 8. Well, we're doing 365 days of it, actually, but 8 are going to be really intense.
So where is the Lauren Rogers Museum if we haven't ever been or visited?
We're just a block north of the immediate part of downtown. We're on the corner of 5th Avenue and 7th Street, right in the middle of the, as we like to say, historic downtown Laurel that's so pretty. And so we've been there for 100 years, free as an art museum, and great collections and great events. And then, like I said, we're trying to celebrate with a lot of different activities for that week. Begins April the 29th with a concert by Laurel native Charlie Mars, who's going to be doing a free concert on the museum front lawn. And we end that Saturday with kind of a 1920s Great Gatsby-themed event on the front lawn and inside. Mississippi Mass Choir from Jackson's coming to perform on that Thursday night at First Baptist for us. So we've got lots of special events all throughout that week.
This is maybe the thing that I'm most excited about this year is the centennial. And I'm like Aaron was, we got to dress like the 1920s. And so then I'm trying to think about like, whoa, what kind of car could we drive in? We need to...
Look, we're going to have, we've got a couple of them that we parked out. We're going to close the street, and so we're going to have a few out front that evening too.
Nice.
So,
Sounds like it's going to be a good time.
and we've got a new candle coming out with the folks from Laurel Mercantile. It's a centennial candle.
Yeah.
I stole that from Josh. Anyway, but it is a really cool one that we're going to be able to sell through the museum, and I'm excited about it. We wanted something that smelled like old books, oak, and some paintings, and I think we got pretty close.
Well, that will be one you have to come out and actually smell for yourself, right?
Exactly.
Which I feel like it's hard to describe what that might smell like over the radio. But
well, people that grew up here walk in the museum and they go, they have this smell that they all are familiar with. It's kind of weird, like y'all were talking about earlier, but there is a smell, distinct smell. We were a library originally, and so that's why that old book smell is kind of so important.
All of the museums in Mississippi kind of have their own personalities or style, or sort of lend to one type of art or another. So if you were to sum up, like Lauren Rogers Museum, what would you say you would see in there, or sort of the eclecticness of what's hanging there?
Well, it's kind of fun because we've got something for everybody. There are 5 different collecting areas. We've got American and European paintings, and we go not only just like 18th century, but we go into contemporary artists from not just Mississippi, but got around the country. One of our latest acquisitions is a great Andrew Wyeth piece. So there's always something fun like that. We have Native American baskets. Our first official gift were 440 handmade Native American baskets in 1923, and 81 tribes of North America. We've got British Georgian silver, which is kind of fun to look at all around the service of high tea. And then we got Japanese ukiyo-e woodblock prints. So really a little of something for everybody, and it's kind of nice to have a exposure to different art forms, but then to be able to see it in a and people would assume we're small, but we're about 30,000 square feet. It's a pretty big museum.
There's always the traveling shows.
Right. We just closed a Del Chihuly exhibit, Laguna Murano, which was pretty popular. This fall we've got a fun exhibit. It's a hands-on exhibit mainly for kids, but adults will like it, called Van Gogh for All. And so it's kind of an immersive show where you'll get to go in and create. You'll go into the scenes and the sets and rearrange. You can paint. You can put it on the walls. We've got like a 12-foot Starry Night wall that you can manipulate on an iPad, and so the stars and all will move with it. So it'll be pretty fun.
If we wanted to plan our visit to Laurel, what's the best place to do that? How's the best place to do that?
Well, you can. Jones County Chamber of Commerce and the EDA and Laurel Main Street are all kind of attached to it. It's to an app that does a really good job. Visit Jones, and it really kind of lets you have itineraries. It's got maps. It's an incredible app that lets you plan everything. You can do mural tours, all of that. Of course, the museum website is always a good place to start. And for group tours, people don't realize. I had 2 groups from Grenada just this week I get on buses for, and so we had a lot of in-state tours from different churches and community groups that want to come visit, and so we love those groups because they come in bulk and spend money, and those are great.
I get that. Shop is what Ben said. Okay, the important question though, Ben, how are you going to eat crawfish one-handed?
So this is not a popular opinion, but I don't like crawfish.
You're going to leave us on that?
I know, but it's so much work for so little payoff.
You got 30 seconds to redeem yourself. Say something else.
You know what I mean? It's going to be a lot of fun. The paintings are going to be amazing.
So there'll be so much crawfish left over because Ben won't be eating any of it. He just would like
come eat mine.
Come eat Ben's. Alrighty, you can go to visit Laurel to get all the information. Come on down, visit what they got going on here. Thank you all for your time today, but stick with us. You got the boys coming up next with Sports Talk Mississippi from 3 to 6. Rhino and I'll meet you back in the studio at 2 on Monday, but until then, I hope you all find time for the good things.